You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
Yes. What's going on? So, man, I'm just leaving. I'm going to get into my talk, but I'm just leaving Sherman-Williams because my homeowners association sent me a letter that says I was in violation because my house was discolored. So I called my handyman and told him, I had a violation, we need to fix it. So they can go ahead and fix the violation. They said, well, Dr. Ferguson, if we pressure wash it again, it's going to pull the paint off. It's going to be a little bit worse. So we might as well just paint the body of the house. I said, no problem. They went and took a paint chip off the house, went and got the same color and painted the house. Then my homeowner association told me I was in violation because I modified the house because I painted it. I said, well, I didn't modify or alter, because modify or alter means change. I didn't change anything because I put the house back into the pre-violation state. They say, yeah, but you didn't use Sherman-Williams paint, you used Glidden paint. And Sherman-Williams paint is the paint that's approved by the homeowners association. So I then had to take another piece of paint chip off the house over to Sherman-Williams to find the comparable Sherman-Williams color code so I can put in a modification form for something that I already fixed so they can approve it or not approve it. And if they don't approve it, then they're actually telling me that I was in violation before the violation was given, because that means my house was in violation. It's got to be the most ridiculous and frivolous thing that I've ever seen in my life. But I understand who I am and where I am and why I got to do the things that I do. And I'm not mad with it. But in today's Coffee With Rhadi, I want to talk about relationships, but not in the pure form that most of y'all are used to speaking about relationships. I say this a lot now, and I'm going to continue to say it as I give my talks, because, and as I give my speeches when I speak around the country, because we are in a meme-driven society where people take memes and they post them and they run with these things like they are some type of philosophical enlightenment that has come down from on high. And these people believe some of these memes and they post them and they forward them because it's good for people who have itching ears. All right? So some of the stuff isn't true, but it just sounds great to other people. It sounds absolutely fantastic to other people. I read something the other day, which is true, but it could be misinterpreted, which said, elevation requires separation. And that's 100% true. Elevation requires separation. This is true. I think that people misunderstand the differences between quality and quantity when it comes to relationships, and what a quality relationship means. People think that a quality relationship yields happiness. A quality relationship does not yield happiness. A quality relationship yields friction and growth. Friction, growth. Friction and growth. One of the beautiful things that you learn when you do long distance running, for those of y'all who ever completed a marathon or choose to do a marathon or want to do a marathon, one of the things that you learn from that process, pardon the glare, one of the things you learn from the process is that the halfway point of a marathon is not 13 miles. A marathon is 26.2 miles. And the halfway point of a marathon is really 18 miles. That is when you really understand that you've gotten yourself in a situation that is not going to end well. It's not going to end well for you, and there's no backing out. It's at that point when you see people on the side of the road, you see people crying, you see people have that breakdown. But you also notice that what did you feel at mile 18 is not how you felt at mile 22. And what did you feel at mile 26 is not how you felt at mile 4. Because life in itself is a marathon. And some people, they get cramps, they get strains, they get pulls, and then they stop. Now, within that race, you realize that all the people that you started with, you don't finish with. So in order for you to achieve that particular goal, there has to be some separation so you can receive some elevation. But here's what people forget. There's that little piece, that Ecclesiastes 4:9 piece, which says 2 are better than 1 because they have good reward for their labor. So there needs to be some coupling if there's going to be some climbing. When there's a gate that is high, or there's an edifice or a paling that is high, you can't get over that thing by yourself. Either you have to climb on someone, or someone has to help you up or help you over. Now it's easy once you get over the hump on the top of the hill to look down at the other person and say, hey man, I can't help you. I got to help myself. I mean, that's the easy thing to say, because you're already separated, and there is some value to understanding that elevation will not occur without separation. There's great value in that, but there's also great value in this: 2 are better than 1 because they have good reward for their labor. That the coupling is important for the climbing. The coupling is important for the climbing. The key is, as they speak in the story in biblically about Abram and Lot, it said, Lot pitched his tent towards Sodom. That's what it said. What you have to be careful is you have to be careful where you pitch your tent. You got to be careful of the people that you're around. You got to be careful of the quality individual. You got to be careful of the people who you couple yourself with. There's some people that you need to be separated from, and there's some people that you need to run to. Your group, your support system is everything. The people who create friction in your lives are everything too. A lot of y'all run from friction and run from problems because you don't want to be miserable. You don't want to be unhappy. And let me tell you something. There's value in misery. There's value in being unhappy. There's value in being hurt. There's value in being down. There's value. Jesus, don't let me say this here. Don't let me. I'm getting ready to say something. I want you to write this down when I say it. There's value in the valley. Jesus. Every time I get on here with Coffee With Rhadi, you all think I done planned this out. I didn't plan this out. Listen to me. There's value in the valley. Write that down for yourself. If you have some notes on the side, I want you to write that down, because there's some people listening who are in a valley situation. You're in the valley financially. You're in the valley emotionally. You're in the valley in your business. You're in a valley situation. You're in the valley with your health. Your health is in the valley. Sometimes you're in the valley in terms of your development, and there's value in the valley. And let me tell you something. There's a lot more people in the valley than there are people on the top of the hill. Everybody wants to get to the top of the hill. Everybody wants to get to the mountaintop. Everybody wants to get to the peak. Everybody wants to get up there. Everybody. Most people are in the valley. They're in the valley. In your life, you're going to dip down in the valley a lot of times. People are scared to go in the valley. They don't even understand that every level has its own valley. So they're afraid to get to the next level because they don't want to deal with the valley of the next level. And you better jump in that. Listen, jump in that valley. Get you a washcloth and some soap and just bathe in that whole situation and deal with it. Every good dish that you've eaten, I'm talking about every good quality dish that you've eaten, has required some heat in order to create that particular masterpiece. The masterpiece of you cannot be created without any heat. The valley is going to provide the heat that's going to cook you and get you ready for your next situation. I'm telling you right now, when you're in that valley, you got to bathe in it. And it's hard to bathe in it. Difficult. A lot of people have a tough time in that particular valley because all they can think about is, I need to separate myself from everybody here so I can get to the top. Not understanding they need to look around and see who they need to couple themselves with so they can get out. Jesus. There's somebody in that valley just like you. They're reading the same thing that you're doing. They're meditating on the same thing. They're doing the same thing that you're doing. But you can't get out of that situation until you couple yourself with the right person in order to get out. Because there's things that happen from the coupling. Two are better than one because they have good reward for their labor. And a threefold cord is not easily broken. You have to get with somebody that can pull you and help you get yourself out. Wherever two or more are gathered, then I'm in the midst. There's somebody in the valley. There's somebody in that situation with you. That's why the things say, forget not to assemble yourselves. There are other people in the valley that you have to assemble yourselves with. And when you're in the valley by yourself, or you think you're by yourself, you got to find somebody who you can help, and then the helping that person will help you. You gotta tithe your way out of your situation. You feel low. You feel down. You feel you can't give no more. That's when you give. You give yourself out. Give your way out of the valley. Don't try to see what you can get out of there. That's what happens in most situations. In most situations where you see natural disasters, the first thing that people have when the valley exists is the first thing that they go loot. They loot. They steal. They take. They try to see what they can get. People who survive out of those situations are the people who give. The people who, they knock on somebody's door and they let them in, knowing they ain't have nothing but a little bit of food for their family, but they let other people in, and they stay up in the rafters until the water dissipates. And they all survive because you got to give your way to get out of that. That's how you get out. Yeah, there's some value to separation and elevation. There's value to that. But go back and read that 10th chapter of Hebrews and run through it. And don't forget to assemble yourselves with other people who are like you, who believe what you believe, who read what you read, who get up at 5:30 in the morning, who go to the gym. Assemble yourself with those people. I got to get ready to go, but before I go, I want to say what's going on to my man, Derek Lee. Derek Lee and I go way back. I'm talking about House of God of P. Ryan, not P. Ryan, but House of God of P. Ryan in Miami, Florida. He understands exactly what I'm saying. I sat up under his dad's teaching many Sundays. Pastor Lee, Reverend Lee, many Sundays. And I'm telling you right now, the people in your life who you couple yourself with are going to determine how high you climb. So there's nothing wrong with separating yourself from some people, because you need separation in order to have some elevation. But you need to couple yourself with some people if you're going to climb as high as you need to climb. The rough part is that you got to be careful of where you pitch your tent, because you can end up coupling yourself with the wrong people and think that you're being elevated, and don't understand that in the grand scheme of things, you are being eliminated. This is Dr. Rhadi Ferguson. I want you to have a super fantastic day, and I want you to understand that I love you, but God loves you best. Take care and be good. And after you get good, focus on being excellent.